Hey guys, so today I thought we would talk about starting seeds indoors. I am outside right now because it is 55 degrees outside, which is really warm for us this time of year. Normally I would just be doing this inside, but I'm going to show you the actual how-to, and then we will go inside and answer some questions. So I have two different things I want to show you. I recently got a soil blocker, so I'm going to use that. And then another option that I recommend if you don't want a soil blocker, I will put the link for the soil blocker I have in the description. So we're going to start with soil. This is just regular old potting soil. It's all our stores really have this time of year, and it is in a big, this is actually a cat litter dish, but it's the perfect size for the soil blocker. So I'm going to put that here, and I will show you what a soil blocker is. Okay. So this is our soil blocker. So what you do is you pack this with soil, and then you put it on your tray, and you pull this down, and it gives you 4 blocks of soil. So I'm trying this out this year because I started over like 5,000 seeds last year, and it was a lot to have plastic trays. I did save my plastic trays, so I'm going to show you, if you don't want to use this, what I would recommend. So there's a couple of different kinds. I got these off Amazon. This is like 128 cell, I believe. I mean, it worked fine. I bought these at a local nursery, and I saved mine from plants. They're bigger 6 cell little things. And then this is what like your Walmart's gonna have and stuff. And these come in a pack. It's 72 cells. And no matter what you use out of these or the soil blocker, you're going to need trays like this. I prefer ones without holes in it because I will put these in here and fill the tray, and then I bottom water, so that means I fill this tray with water so that the plants can soak it up from the bottom. I do not overhead water them. So if trays get cracked or broken, I put them in their own pile because I don't really like using them, especially because they're indoors. If they're cracked and you fill the bottom and then all of a sudden you have water leaking everywhere, it's not fun. And you can buy these at Walmart also. You can get them on Amazon. You can get them on like Growers Supply, different greenhouse supply places. And I will link everything on Amazon too for you. So what I'm starting today is some flowers that need a really early head start. Onions and shallots and leeks, because they need a long time when you're starting them from seed. And then some kale, which I will plant out in my greenhouse. It's too early for me to start kale just to plant outside, but for the greenhouse it'll be good. So I'm going to use soil blocker for this, and I'm going to show you how I do it. So we're going to get our tray, and this is our soil. So we're going to kind of mound it up. You can see there's a pile. I'm going to stick this in here and wiggle it. And you can see it's packed full. I'm going to scrape the edge off on the edge of the pan. And then we're going to take it in this tray. So now we have 4 little blocks of soil. I'm going to fill this tray up, and then I will give you a better view of what the tray looks like when I'm done doing that. So the trick with the soil blocker is getting your soil wet enough, but not too wet that it falls apart. And the best way to test is just grab a clump in your hand. If it stays together, you're good. If it's just soupy and wet, then you probably have too much water and you just need to add more soil to your water. Okay, so you can see that there's little divots in the top of each soil block. That is to put your seed directly in. So that is how we do the soil block. I'm out of dirt, so I'm going to fill 2 of these trays to put some seeds in, just to show you the difference between the two. Now we are going to get this wet. That is dry dirt that's been outside. So I'm going to water that, and you're going to notice it's going to settle down quite a bit. And so then we'll add some more dirt on top, water it a little more until the cubbies are totally full. Okay, so we want to make sure we always wash our soil blocker when we're done. I just run it under some water, so that's clean. One thing to look out for if you're using these big trays is the middle sag. So if you're bottom watering, your outside rows of cells can dry out really easy because they're not reaching down into the water like the other ones are. So definitely keep an eye out on that if you use these. I've seen people recommend putting something like under in the middle to prop up the middle so it's all level. I just add extra water and it's fine. Okay, I'm going to do my leeks, and I'm going to, this front tray, I'll move it, I'm going to do leeks and shallots. So onions and leeks you can plant up to like 6, I would say, per one of these. So I just kind of distribute them around the top, push them in, and then call it good. So I'm going to do that. These ones are harder to label because you can't stick a tag in them. So I just tape on the front and write what each half or row or whatever is on that. And so I'm going to do that with these shallots and leeks in this tray. This is what onion, shallot, leek, chive, they all kind of look the same. So even if you were selling these in like a regular seed tray like this one, that one's a little small, but the bigger ones, you can put multiple onions or leeks per cell because their roots are very hardy. So when they grow big, you'll just pull them apart, separate them, and plant them like if you bought onion sets. So you can do multiple. You do not have to do one onion per cell. I need to get some actual painter's tape for that, but that's just what I have right now. And I do have these tags, which I will still do just for good measure. And I will write today's date on it, just so I... So those white plastic tags I buy in bulk on Amazon. They're really inexpensive and they come in big packs. The only thing is you can't just use regular Sharpie on them because when they're outside, Sharpie doesn't hold up to the sun and the rain and watering and all that. So I bought a new pen this year. I can't say how well it works because I just got it, but I will show you it and I will link it in case you're interested in one also. So it is this permanent garden marker. I'll link it on Amazon, but it says it's water and sunproof, so we'll see. So that tray is done. When I'm all done with these trays, they will go in my house onto a wire shelf that has just regular old shop lights hanging on it. I will keep the lights off, but once these germinate, the lights will come on, and I keep them within a couple inches from the plants so the plants don't get long and leggy. It's too cold outside here to have these outside to grow, so they're gonna come inside. It's nothing fancy, just a shelf with some lights, cheap shop lights. I actually got them off Amazon, so I will link those too. Now we're gonna seed that tray down there with some more onions and some kale, and then this middle tray I'm gonna seed with my Lysianthus, which I've never grown before, and I've read it can be tricky, so we're gonna give it a try. I'm gonna hurry and get these planted so we can go over some things before it gets dark. So kale, I am just going to do one, maybe two per cell, just so I don't have to separate them out later, plus I don't need a million kale plants. And then the onions I'll do like I did the leeks, and I'll just do a couple per cell. So these are actually teeny tiny little seeds. I'm gonna wait till I go inside to do those just because it's kind of windy and I don't want them to blow away. But I will just put one per each and put a tag at the top of the row. These ones say to just surface sow, I believe, so I won't even bury them. I'll just stick one in each, don't bury them, and then let them do their thing. So I'm gonna get this cleaned up and put away, and then we will go chat in the greenhouse. Okay, we are in my greenhouse, and hopefully it's not too noisy. There's obviously nothing growing in here right now. besides some dead plants. So I just wanted to cover some seed starting basics, like when, why, and where to get seeds. So you can get seeds anywhere. Honestly, all seeds are great. There are 3 different kinds of seeds. There are heirloom seeds, there are hybrid seeds, and there are GMO seeds. GMO seeds are not available to the general public, so you're not going to accidentally buy GMO seeds. It's just not going to happen. Hybrid seeds are great. So a hybrid is basically like when people breed dogs, 2 different types of dogs for specific traits. They do the same with tomatoes and other plants. There's nothing wrong with this. You could do it in your own backyard. The only thing with that is you can't necessarily save seeds. You can, but you're not guaranteed to get the same parent plant. Heirloom seeds are seeds that are 50 years or older. They have not been altered other than the natural change that occurs just from growing in a certain location. Plants can naturally become hardier if grown somewhere for a very long time. They evolve over the years. That is natural. So really you can source seeds wherever you want. There are a lot of online seed companies. I have not had a bad one yet. So why you would want to start seeds is if you have a really short growing season. Mine is like 90 days. We can't plant stuff that is frost tender until the middle of June. So I start almost everything except for beans and corn from seed, because otherwise I just don't get a harvest. And I start it all indoors. To know when you need to do it, when to start things, you need to look up your last frost date. So you will just Google where you live and then last frost date, and then you will look at the back of your seed packet, and it will tell you how many weeks before your last frost date you need to plant things out, or you need to start seeds. The exception is, so cold hardy things like broccoli, cauliflower, onions, leeks, anything in the brassica family. I plant mine out 1 or 2 months before my last frost. So on those, I would count back on the seed packet when it says you need to start them indoors, from when I know that I want to plant them outside. And that is just through trial and error. The other thing is when you buy your seeds, you need to look at your growing season. So I said mine's about 90 days. You just Google your first and last frost date, not your zone, just your first and last frost date for your city, and then Google the days between them. When you buy seeds, try to pick seeds that are within that range, because if your frost free days are 90 days and you get something that's 115 days, you're going to have a hard time getting anything off of that plant. Another thing to keep in mind when you look at seed packets, if it says 100 days to maturity, but on the back of the seed packet it tells you to start your seeds indoors 3 to 4 weeks before your last frost, you have to add those 3 to 4 weeks, so 30 days, to that 100 day, to the days to maturity. So it is days to maturity plus the weeks that they tell you to start indoors. So it'd be 130 days if it was 100 days to maturity. So keep that in mind. Some things like carrots, they don't transplant well because they have a taproot, and if you disturb that taproot during transplant, it's just not going to work. And you don't need to. You can plant carrots out when it's cold still. I could probably plant carrots in here right now, and they would be just fine. So you really, it's just going to depend on where you live, on what you need to start indoors. You have to have light over your seedlings. Some people try to get by without doing any sort of lighting. If you have a really great south-facing window, you can get away without lights. I do not. I am surrounded by trees. So I bought really cheap shop lights and I hang them above it, and that's works, and they grow great. You just move the light with the plant as it grows to keep it above it. Long leggy seedlings aren't going to do good. They just are going to be weak, and they're not going to hold up well once they're outside, if they even make it that far. Once your seedlings are big and strong, you might need to move them into bigger pots. If they're getting root bound, you need to put them in bigger pots until they can go outside. Once it is time, getting close to time for them to go outside. So I plant out middle of June is my last frost, but I watch my calendar for nights that are going to be cold, which you need to do. You don't just go, this is my last frost, okay, I'm good. You need to watch the weather. Once you're about 2 weeks out from your average last frost, you need to harden off your plants. So if they've been inside or in a greenhouse, they've been in a very sterile environment as far as plants go, and they are going to get shocked when you put them outside, and they will die. So what I do is about a month before my last frost, I move everything into this greenhouse and use a space heater to keep it above freezing. You don't have to do that though, they can stay inside. 2 weeks before my last frost, I start putting things outside during the day in shade. You don't want to put them out in direct sunlight because the sun will just cook them. I do keep a fan in here too, so that they get used to being blown around. It makes them stronger. So you're going to want to do shade, just shade. And then you can move them into dappled shade and slowly move them into sunlight, just a little bit each day. And you're going to want to make sure you check their water often because they're going to dry out faster in the sun, obviously. But you don't want to overwater them. It's a very delicate balance, and you really just need to watch your plants. You know, if you forget them outside one night and it freezes, they are likely all going to die, which sucks. That time of year, I have alarms set on my phone for all sorts of things, like open the greenhouse so I don't cook my plants because it got too hot outside. Close the greenhouse so I don't let them freeze. I utilize the alarms on my phone a lot during the growing season. And it's a good idea because we're busy and it's easy to forget. Lastly, why would you want to start seeds when you could buy plants? So if you're going to plant 100 tomato plants, you're going to spend a lot of money on seedlings from the store. Whereas you could buy 2 packets of seeds for $5. And the varieties you can buy as far as seeds go, you just can't find those in the store. I like trying the fun, crazy colored, different varieties that I can't buy at the grocery store. You know, I don't want to grow a tomato I could go to the grocery store and buy. I want to try something that hasn't been grown and sold in a grocery store for the last 100 years. So that is my primary reason for starting seeds. And it saves a lot of money, especially once all your initial investments are made, like your trays, your soil blocker, whatever you're going to use. From there on out, it's just soil and seeds if you don't save seeds. And right now, seeds for some things can be hard to find, so saving seed is a good idea. We'll talk more about that later. But in the long run, it is a good investment to just get everything you need to start your own seeds. If you have any questions, drop them below. If you like this video, please subscribe. I hope to get more videos out soon now that we're upgrading our internet. Before it took like 4 days to upload a video. We should have new internet by the end of the month, so it shouldn't be an issue any longer. But I appreciate you all for watching, and I hope you got a lot of good information out of this video.